suffering even when you achieve what you want. Of course, at the end of or later stages of life, you're going to be suffering from medical problems. So there is lots of suffering. And people who have depression, they magnify this suffering. They look deeper, and then they ask existential questions. Where did I come from? Where I'm going to end at? Why I'm here? What I'm doing? What is all this suffering about?
Is that only at the late stages?
No, they see, like people with struggling with depression, they see as the whole cycle as depressing or frustrating cycle. But anyway, when I see, when I see people suffering, I ask lots of questions. One of them, evolution. Is this true or false? Did this happen or it didn't happen? Anyway, I don't know. I wrote a book about spirituality and mental health. And I have 4 copies as a donation for your meeting. If you want, okay, 1 for David and 3 for you guys.
4 copies.
So you can circulate the book like someone will take it for a few days, and after you finish, you give it someone else. Anyway, at the beginning of the book, I put this. So the book is about, it's called The Soul, and it is about spirituality and mental health. How does spirituality affect mental health? Does it have a negative side, or is it all positive side? And what is really important in spirituality that can help people struggling with mental illness? So in chapter 1, I put this question: why do people have resentment toward religion in general or toward God? And these answers that I put are answers from my patient. Some of my patients said, because religion teach like intolerance against minority, or because religions caused lots of wars. And if you look at the history, you'll find lots of war was based on religious differences. Some people don't like religion because they say it caused lots of excessive guilt. And the guilt is a negative feeling because you feel like I'm a sinner, so I'm guilty. And we know guilt in psychology can cause an anxiety, because if you feel guilty, you're going to be fearful about punishment. And if you are fearful, you're going to be angry. And if you are angry, you're going to be depressed. So you see cycle of psychological problem all start with guilt and shame, then it ends up with anxiety, it ends up with other negative behavior and feeling. So some people see religion as this. Some people say, I have heard about religious teachers or leaders who abuse the kids and the residential schools and all these stories. Some people say it causes corruption. Some people would say the magical thinking. This is distorted thinking, when you believe God will fix everything in your life, like magic. I had a patient in Egypt. He should have done MRI to rule out brain tumor, but he told me, no, don't worry about it. I'm not going to do it. God here to protect me. So you see people taking religion or have distorted views and misconceptions about God and religion, and we call this magical thinking. Anyway, one of the areas that patient was highlighting is that religious teaching resists the spread of modern science. And one of them is the topic of today, which is evolution. So lots of people will leave religion, they are already leaving religions. And one of the major causes is the resistance between religious teaching and scientific research. Anyway, you'll find more details in the book, but how I talk with my patient, I talk a lot about spirituality, and like I believe in treatment and biopsychosocial spiritual. Like when you treat someone, you need biological, psychological, social, and the spiritual. This is important domain in treatment plan. When we talk about religion, I tell them this analogy. I don't know. Don't throw the baby with the bath water. Do you know this? What does it mean? Yeah. So I have 3 babies, 3 kids. When I give them a bath, right, and then now there is dirty water, I throw the water. I keep the baby, precious baby. I don't throw the baby, keep the baby through the water. The same thing with religion. There is a negative side, but we can get rid of the negative side, but we keep the baby, right? I'm sure you have heard about, or you met with rude doctors, right? Like when you go see a family doctor, it's very rude, okay? It doesn't mean that medicine is bad, right? I'm sure you have seen reckless drivers. It doesn't mean that driving is bad, you see? But anyway, so these are different causes why people are... Well,
No, we just have reckless drivers. We have reckless drivers in here.
okay, doesn't mean driving is bad. So we don't want to throw the baby with the water. Anyway, so different reason why people are staying away from the spirituality. However, most like 99% of a psychological study are showing a positive impact of spirituality on mental health. There is negative side, yes, there is negative side about everything. Anything, there is negative side of it. But in general, spirituality has a positive impact. That's why lots of universities now educate doctors about the importance of a spiritual part in any treatment plan for physical and mental illness. Anyway, another thing we don't want this to happen, you know Galileo and the church? You know the history? What happened? Does anyone know? Burned him. No, they put him under house arrest. They didn't burn him or anything. But this is a guy, what did he discover? This is an astronomer, a famous astronomer. What did he discover? Does anyone know?
They discovered that everything the Catholic Church at that time was given is totally negative. So they said that church or the earth is the center of the universe, heaven is above it, and the inferno is beneath it. And then they said, no, this is not true because there's celestial stuff that has orbits, and there are moons, and there are suns, and there are planets that orbits around it. So the church is completely wrong.
Yeah, so one of the main discovery is that Earth is not the center of the universe. The center of the solar system is the sun, and all planets are revolving around the sun. The church teaching at this time, all sermons, the people when we talk, they say Earth is the center, the sun is revolving around the Earth, okay? And by intuition, this is how you feel it right, like because you see the sun going this way, then it comes this way, then going this way. So you think it is, we are the center, the sun is revolving, okay? And by intuition too, I don't think we started as a parasite. I don't think we started as a bacteria. By intuition, okay? But by science and by evidence, we will know that evolution is a theory, and a strong theory. And in science, when we say theory, this means the highest level of science. I don't want any ignorant statement, saying, oh, it's just a theory. Okay, a theory is the highest thing in science. I don't know if you know that. Hypothesis, yes, hypothesis is not as strong as a theory. So when we say depression is caused by serotonin problem, you know that, right? Depression, serotonin. Mm-hmm. Is this hypothesis or a theory? No, this is a theory. It's not assumption now. Why it is a theory? Because we have tested it. We have lots of evidence behind it. We treat patients with depression with antidepressant. We can predict that people, if we give them more serotonin, they get better. So I believe in serotonin theory to explain depression. So serotonin theory is a strong theory, and this is the highest level in science. When I say evolution is a theory, this means publicly it is a fact. So evolution, if we talk in public, is a fact. If I talk in a university, it is a theory, because we don't have facts in science. Fact, when we say fact in science, this means a simple fact, like for example, there is light here. We all see light, right? This is a fact. Everyone can do. You don't have to examine it. Don't want to test it. Or there is light, but I can put 4 hypotheses why there is light here. One of them maybe there is light because there is a sun. another guy say, no, there is a light because someone turned on the switch. That's why there is a light. Maybe someone else say, no, there is a light because David is radiating light. Okay? These are different hypotheses. So these are not theories. These are not theories. I didn't try to prove them yet. I have just no need to. But these are hypotheses. Okay, which one will be a theory? The ones that I can have an evidence for. Okay, so David is radiating light. Okay, let's take David, put him in a dark room, and see if the room will lighten up or not. Become dark.
That is a great idea. Let's lock up David in a dark room.
Yeah. So we can discard this hypothesis or disregard this hypothesis because I take David, put him in another room. It doesn't work. So clearly the light here is not because of David. Okay, maybe because of the sun. Okay, so we can test this. Okay, we can put the shutter down and see. If it become dark, maybe this hypothesis is a true explanation why there is light here. So this hypothesis will go higher to level of theory if we can prove it. Okay, this maybe is a light, you turn it on and turn it off. Maybe if I turn it on now, it's going to be more lighter. So if I turn it off, it's still light. So I can't use this as a theory to explain why there is light. So the only theory now is that there is a sun. And how we prove this? If I put the shutter down, there will be no light. If I put it up, there will be light. Okay, I have evidence. So what I'm talking about... No, I'm going to skip this one now.
And now someone is going to join me in the background.
Yeah, this picture, the one I put, photo for me and my wife, this is the most important part in the talk. I'll tell you why. No. This is a fact, yes. So I don't want to, be in a biology class or something, but theory is the most, highest level in science, hypothesis. And how we change a hypothesis to a theory, there is different ways to do this in science. But anyway, evolution is a to summarize, evolution is a theory. When we say it's a theory, it doesn't mean it is false. This means it's very strong evidence behind it. So these are 80 slides. Okay, I'm not going to finish them all. I'm going to just keep switching between different slides. I just want to give you the main points. This is me, right?
Point?
Yeah, this is...
Just to keep you on the stage, just a question here. I understand that you want to say that theories are the end product of scientific research and it has the highest certainty when it comes to a scientific fact, because we don't have facts in science.
Yeah.
But sometimes theories or coexisting theories can exist. Like for physics, for example, we have been living since Newton in the Newtonian quantum physics until someone crazy came up named Albert Einstein and he said, no, physics is modern. And he introduced the modern physics. While technically there are huge differences between both, but they still coexist. That's what I'm trying to say. So my question to you is, if this is a theory, does that mean this is the final product, or theories can contradict and still coexist?
Yeah, theories can contradict but we, so far for the origin of life, we don't have as a strong theory as this one. Maybe in physics with different view. Like, let's put depression, there is a serotonin theory, but there is another theory, cognitive theory, that depression is caused by irrational thinking, like someone have depressive thoughts. There is another one, psychodynamic theory, which is depression is caused by child abuse and child neglect, okay, and the stressors in life. So there are different theories that can exist at the same time, okay, but when we talk about origin of life, this is the most widely accepted theory. How many scientists agree on this as a fact? 97% of scientists all over the world. They give survey to see how many people agree, how many people disagree. 97. The 3% who disagree, they are coming from religious background. 72 Nobel Prize winners agree on a statement indicating that all kids should learn about evolution in school. 72 Nobel Prize winner. 2 Nobel Prize winner, the topic of their interest was evolution. One of them is very recent, the guy about...
Sponti?
Yeah.
Sponti problem.
But this picture will summarize and answer lots of questions that you have about what I'm talking about. Because now you have question, how about creation? God had created Adam and Eve on his image. Where is this? I love my wife with all my heart, right? First, this is me, right? This is Caroline, my wife. How confident you are that this is me and this is Caroline? 199.9, this is me and the Caroline, right? It looks like here. This is how confident science is about evolution. Okay, there is 0.1% maybe it is, but the skin color, it is cartoonized or something wrong with it. By the way, there is a app, you can put it in the phone. Okay, it's called the Toon Me. Okay, it is free for a week. So if you download it, change all your photos to yeah, practical tips. I'm giving practical tips because we want to do something today. So it is called the Toon Me. You download it, put your picture, gonna be like that. Anyway, how confident science about evolution is how confident you are now about this is me and Caroline. Maybe 0.0001, there is maybe because of the tone of the color or something. Anyway, because I love my wife with all my heart, and a happy wife, happy life, okay, I started teaching about how to love your wife. And this is what I did last session, right? I created a seminar or a session about ultimate guide of relationships, right? This is because I believe when you love your wife, this is going to create a strong unit. And when we have a strong units, like a family unit, we will have a stronger society. So I believe when partners love each other, we will have a strong society. Perfect. I created even an acronym. Relationship. You remember this one acronym? R stand for?
Respect.
Renew love. Yeah. Renew love and excitement. Anyway, P stand for parenting. I ideas. Anyway, but you got the idea. I created an acronym to remind you how to communicate with your partner and create love and excitement and euphoria within the relationship. Anyway, I started teaching about loving your wife and loving your partner. People like the message. David and Diana and Rona started spreading the word. Okay, relationship, R stand for this, T stand for that, and they like the message. But this group didn't like the message. For some reason, this group didn't like love your wife with all your heart. They didn't like it, but this group liked it. And they applied to their life, and it create miracles within their life. Okay. Anyway, few years later, so I love my wife. I created a seminar and a session about how to love your wife and how to have a positive, build a communication with your partner. This group liked it, spread it. This group didn't like it, but they didn't say anything. Okay, a few years later, scientists discovered that there is no love from the heart. Love comes from the brain. Okay, and there are 3 areas in the brain are involved in the emotion and love. One called the ventral tegmental area, nucleus accumbens, ventral pallidum. Anyway, we call all of this a limbic system. So love doesn't come from the heart. Love comes from the brain. Okay, scientifically that's right. Anyway, this group of people who didn't like my message, they say, see, love your wife with all your heart. False, wrong. This is not scientific at all. This guy is teaching us garbage. Okay? These people, because they believe in my message, they say, no, 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 no. We love your wife with all your heart. That is true. That is true teaching. We all have to apply this to our life. Then this group wasn't happy. They say, no, we can take picture of fMRI, like take a picture of the brain. It show you when you look at your wife, there are certain areas that start working more. It is not your heart. This group, no, 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 no. Look, the heart, when you talk to your partner, the heart starts beating faster. Okay, this means the love comes from the heart. And they start fighting about it. This is trying more evidence in this side, because they have now MRI and the fMRI function, they can take picture. There is weak evidence on this side because the heart doesn't think, so the heart is not the center of love. Both of this side are missing the point. It doesn't matter you love your wife with your heart, with your nose, with your eyes. It doesn't matter. The core for my message is to love your wife. I didn't mean love your wife with what? I wasn't even interested in science when I'm giving you this talk. When I was giving this talk, I didn't know the love coming from where. It doesn't matter. I wrote my message pre-scientific age, 500 years ago. I didn't really was questioning what is the source of love. I was questioning the communication, the parenting, the kindness, these feelings. And this is exactly what is happening now. God gave us a message through the prophets and the disciples. Okay, there was a purpose and the goal for this message. It was a religious instruction. What the Bible was teaching us, he was teaching us like this stuff on the left side: non-attachment, acceptance. These, by the way, these are the 7 principles that I talk about in this book. So I wrote about a book about 7 spiritual principles that are important for mental health and spirituality. I personally believe that the religious message is about this unconditional love, powerlessness, gratitude, these religious instruction. Okay, what is happening now? When I was writing my book about this, I wrote God created Adam and Eve just to write a story, like to start my talk. Okay, I didn't mean he created God and Adam and Eve in one day, in 1 year, in billions of years. But anyway, this group didn't like what I'm saying. So they believe, oh, God created Adam and Eve in a day. God created Adam and Eve in 4 billion years. Through a process, the process is called evolution. This group of people who like my message, they didn't like what these people are saying. No, no, no. God created Adam and Eve in 1 day. And we have evidence for that. And they keep fighting about it. But actually, both sides are missing my point. I'm not here giving you a history lesson. I'm not here giving you a biology lesson. I'm here giving you a spiritual and religious instruction to follow. You see the point now? So, this is why I told you the picture for me, the photo for me and my wife is the most important fact in this lecture, which is evolution is a scientific theory, right? The Bible is a religious text, is not a scientific text. Okay. So can faith and evolution coexist? What do you think now? After I give you this analogy, what do you think? Can faith and evolution coexist? Yes or no?
I think yeah.
Why?
I've always thought they can coexist. I don't know. Most people I've ever talked to would argue that, and would tell me no. Like they were very set on, just like no, it's just Adam and Eve, or it's just this, or it's just that. But I don't think of it as. I think it kind of like, I don't know, works in conjunction. Like both theories are correct in a way. I don't know how to explain it. Like there's been talk about how like a year for God is like a billion years for us, or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's other proofs like that, and some things just make sense. But if you pay attention to what creation stories are in religions and stuff, and I think, I know that our church believes in our creation story as a fact, not as symbolic. But I think there's
Okay, do I love my wife from my heart? Me. I'm asking you, do I love my wife from my heart? Yes or no?
yes.
Okay, but the love comes from the brain.
Yeah, but it's not meant to be literal.
Exactly. So you see, guys, he was trying to create a middle ground.
Yeah.
1 year for God is billions of years, or 1 day with God is thousands of years in reality. Okay, I told you, this group was with me, this group was against me. There is still another group trying to find a common ground, a common point. And I'm going to talk about this stuff too. Like, there are common points that we can talk about. Like, for one of them, like, for example, guided evolution. I don't know, about that there is evolution, but it was guided by God or a higher intelligence.
Now we're filling gaps.
Yeah, but this group that doesn't like me. You see, when if you feel something is missing in science, they see God did it, and then once we discover it, they try to find something. Oh, God did this one, And in evolution, there are lots of missing links, and even the origin, the first cell, the first parasite that started. Nobody know how did this start. Then Christian gonna say, "Oh, God created this one."
But theology is a field as well, just as much as any other field.
Theology is when
It's
you
not
take
science,
faith
but-
and you study it scientifically. It's not a science.
It's not
It's a
science.
scientific
It's not
paradigm.
science, but there's history involved.
That's why it is a scientific paradigm, because it uses other scientists, as other sciences and scientists, to prove some hypotheses and turn them into theory. It's
That
not
aren't-
theory on itself.
I know.
The main point that he's trying to make here, though, is just that.
But what I'm saying is scientific discoveries help theology in that sense, and they
They
try to
can
connect.
complement each other, but they can also
But there is
contradict.
also a difference between
no,
theology and faith.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
the
main
point of faith, according to the Pauline epistle, is you believe in things you cannot see. Ology, which is the synonym of logic, says if you cannot see it, then you cannot prove it, it is there. But science tells you, if you cannot see it, but you can feel the consequences, then it still exists. Saying that faith tells you cannot see God. No one have ever seen God. But you should believe in God. Logic says, if you cannot see this God, then this God does not exist. Science is saying, you cannot see gravity, but you feel the consequences of a gravitational force. Then there is a gravitational force that exists, and its fourth magnitude is 9.8 kilometer per second square, meter per second square. So they should exist in parallel. That's my theory. Sorry for the interruption. They can coexist in parallel. They should not be intersecting, because it is against the faith itself to keep looking for intersections or filling gaps.
Okay, what is your point?
I was going to say, yeah. So I think, well, based on what we've heard about, do you love your wife with all your heart or with all your brain? I mean, okay, yes. Scientifically, you might say, okay, you love her with their brain, right? And then, perhaps philosophically or religiously or spiritually, no, you love her with your heart, and the two coexist because one is just trying to get a message across. And so the Bible isn't a scientific literature that's been peer-reviewed and is trying to explain the natural laws of the universe. It's trying to explain spiritual laws. And so it can do that. And, the spirituality, there's a lot of mysteries, right? We have lots of mysteries in our church by itself. And so there has to be metaphors, there has to be symbolism, there has to be a lot of things. Whether they can coexist or contradict, that's a different story, or complement each other. But I think the main message here is don't take the scriptures as a peer-reviewed scientific literature.
Yes, and not as a source of history as well. So if something written in the Bible, oh, this happened 4,000 years ago, and then we discover this happened, 20,000 years ago by science.
And then you're in crisis of faith.
Yeah, then you are in crisis of faith, then you become this group who is against my teaching. Okay, or we would try to understand the Bible in a literal way, like this group, which also is missing the main point. Love your wife with your heart. It doesn't matter from where. What I wanted you to do is to love, and we know in Christianity, love is the main message. It's not just love your wife; it's love everything. Anyway, evolution now is an important part of medicine, yes. Like now, if you go into medical school, when they explain any disease, they tell you this is how it happened, and then they tell you the evolutionary cause of it. So, and we look at disease now in a different way. Is it adaptive or non-adaptive? And like schizophrenia and the bipolar, for example. These are a severe mental illness. Now we see it as a source of creativity, because we see the families that there is schizophrenia and bipolar. We see people who is getting Nobel Prize in these families. We see people who are very smart. So we question why these traits or illnesses continue, and it represents 1% of the population, because we see, that's why you see people, who are very smart is a little bit off. Because to be creative, like this guy who, what was his name? Tesla, yeah, he's off a little bit. This is why he think outside the box. When you are too much outside the box, this will be schizophrenia. When you are a little bit off, this will be creativity. But the way we look at it, is we look at it from evolutionary perspective. The guy who won Nobel Prize recently in medicine, I don't know, you know about what he did, right? It was, he built the genome for Neanderthal. There is another, yeah. So Neanderthal, we are Homo sapiens, right? Yeah, there is another version of human being that existed 40,000 years ago. It's called Neanderthal, and the genetic codes for these guys and genome is very similar to us. But they went extinct, and all of them died. We don't know why these people died. But this guy, he built the genome, all the genetic. What's that?
We do know why they were extinct.
Some hypotheses why they went extinct.
No, it's very obvious.
Very obvious. What are the?
Well, the greatest.
It was the Ice Age. They were cavemen, and they couldn't survive because they didn't learn a lot of
Tools and yeah. This is what.
To say that there was some, like we all have 1 or 2% Neanderthal DNA
Yeah.
as well. So there's some.
Europeans, not us. It
Yeah,
depends,
but
some like
yeah,
up to 4% actually.
Yes.
It depends, but it's usually 1 to 2.
Yeah, but this guy was studying his genome for these guys, and then he discovered some immunity defect in these guys, and he find lots of us have some genetic codes from these guys, and so he find people suffering from COVID complication. The genes are related a little bit to this group, so as I try and connect the dots, people who are dying faster from COVID, are there some way related to these guys who went extinct years ago or thousands of years ago? So, and this is how we build the medicine. We try to connect some dots from different areas, okay? And this guy is one of them. But anyway, we also evolutionary, like I didn't do a biology or evolutionary biology. I did evolutionary psychology, which is try to explain differences and similarities between our behavior and the animal behavior. And we find that lots of evolutionary psychology answer questions about what women want. Like Freud, before he died, he said, I don't know what women want.
Only Freud, I guess.
But we look from evolutionary side, there is lots of... Anyway, to summarize, evolution, like for example, evolution can answer this question, why men are physically stronger than women. Okay?
My body, my choice.
Yeah. But why men in general are stronger than women? So maybe some of you say, oh, because they have bigger muscle. This is one way to answer the question. They have bigger muscle. Someone else will say, no, because men have testosterone, and then testosterone is the hormone that builds the bigger muscle. But my question, why? Why men are stronger than women physically? Why? Someone else may say, oh, because they have Y chromosome, and this helps them to develop testicle, and testicles secrete testosterone. Testosterone create big muscle. But why men? Why not women? Why men stronger and have testicles and they have testosterone, not women? Someone say, oh, God created it this way. So this is one way to answer.
Why are men called men?
Yeah. But when we look into evolutionary biology and the psychology, we have answer to these kind of questions. Okay, I know you want to know the answer, but this is a whole different topic. But anyway, so evolutionary psychology is telling us a lot of origin of disease, telling us a lot of why men act this way, why women act this way, why they communicate this way, the mating preferences, why it is this way. We can have answer about this stuff from evolutionary psychology. Level of support for evolution. As I told you, how many percent of scientists agree on it? 97. How about big organization, scientific organization like Society of Biology? Totally agree. Society of Physics? Totally agree. Society of Neuroscience? Totally agree. Society of Psychology? Totally agree. So all the big scientific organization agree with the theory. Okay, why I'm keep repeating agreeing and the fact because I don't want, you are all servant. I don't want, if you're coming from non-biology background or non-science background, I don't want you to give a statement in a church saying, oh, I don't think that our grandparents were monkeys. Like, don't say that, okay? Because it sounds it is keep away people from religion and keep people away from spirituality, okay? By the way, chimpanzee is not our according to the theory, they are our cousins. It's not our.
Then we have a different animal who is actually our predecessor.
Yeah. So anyway, so I put a list of all big organizations that accept evolution as a fact publicly or a theory scientifically. You know, this is a Big Bang, right? I don't know if we should. You know what this happened? You know, Big Bang happened, right? Okay, and singularity or something like an atom explode. We don't know how this happened, but anyway, there was lots of energy. Okay, then 400 years later. First, when did the Big Bang happen? Does anyone know?
4.5 billion. No, that's the Earth.
Yeah, 13.7 billion years Big Bang happened. And then 400 years later, things started to cool down. Then subatomic particles start to get together. Okay, and then it form element, like hydrogen, lithium, sodium, all these elements was formed. And then these elements become more complex to form carbohydrate, fat, protein. So the inorganic become organic. Anyway, I'm trying to summarize like 1,000 or billions of years. Then it get together and become one cell. Then this one cell somehow learn how to divide, become two, and two become three, and so on. Anyway, this is the first cell. Let us say it looks like a parasite, the origin here. And then through certain mechanism, like we call it natural selection or sexual selection or genetic flow, like there is a lots of mechanism how evolution happen. You can do a biology class to know how this happened. It's very complicated. It's look like Darwin was sitting and say, oh, I think this happened, and that's it. No, people spend years of their life trying to study the mechanism of evolution, but anyway, the well-known mechanism is natural selection, sexual selection, genetic flow, genetic drift, these different area. We see from environmental pressure, these stuff change. And we see change in our life. You see COVID, you see what did COVID for us? What COVID was trying to do, it's trying to evolve. Okay, we create a vaccine, COVID evolve more, then we find COVID find a medium way to coexist with us. Okay, if he become too strong, this is a stupidity because he's gonna kill all of us. So he doesn't have a medium where he can or she can grow. Okay, but he or she or whatever or it coexist with us in a certain, way. But anyway, these things continue to evolve. This part of evolution, the plant and the tree, is easy, doesn't cause problems. Why? Because they have the plant have a source of energy, the chlorophyll. This group of animals, organisms, including us, we cause problem because to survive we have to eat. So we have to compete. Then sometimes we have to kill each other. I'm talking about in general in animal kingdom, there is killing, there is ego. What's that? And the human. Anyway, human being started like 6 million years ago. It continued to evolve. You see this line is a chimpanzee. This line is a human being. At the top is Homo sapiens. Okay, and then there is a one version, sub-version of human being like Homo erectus, Homo habilis. What is the difference between these different stages of evolution? Is like these guys. We have the Homo sapiens 70,000 years ago. So all humans started 70,000. How these humans, the last one, is different from other version, which looks like monkey. The size of the brain. The main difference was the size of the brain. How did they know the size of the brain is changing from the size of the skull? How did they know this happened years ago? Because we have evidence by fossils. We can see skeletons of these versions. Okay? Okay, how did they know that bigger brain is more intelligent? How did they know this happened like 70,000 years ago? Because they see tools and the other stuff around the skeleton that show that these people are smart. Okay? So
They were even able to find like with different as they kept evolving, like Homo erectus versus like Neanderthals versus like Homo sapiens, or anatomically modern humans and things like that. They would find even like they would find evidence to see if they were actually like buried or there's some sort of ceremony.
Yeah.
And see how intelligent they were in so many different types of.
Yeah, when they bury their friends, it showed that there was love. There was connection. I was sad about them. I tried to hide them or keep them inside.
Like long enough ago, like in the animal kingdom, the cat died,
Yeah.
so I had to sleep it there. Like
Exactly.
Like
Yeah. One of evolutionary part is develop of emotion and the feeling, and one of the strongest emotion we develop is love. Anyway, I told you Big Bang happened 13.7 billion years ago, right? The first cell started 4 billion years ago. First human being was 70,000, and we call this cognitive revolution, which is a human being becomes smarter, and they can communicate, and they started to develop language, and they started to build, expand the knowledge and store knowledge. And I can tell you what happened yesterday. This is a huge advancement, that I see something happen yesterday and I can tell you. Then you can tell your kids. Then the education cycle continue. Another step, major step in human evolution was the agricultural revolution, which happened 10,000 years ago. When we don't have to be a hunter and run from one place to another, we can stay here and build empires and kingdoms. Okay. Then 400 years ago, 500 years ago is the scientific revolution, which is biology, science, physics, all this stuff. The Bible was written when?
500 years ago?
Between 3,000.
2000. The Bible was written 2,000 years ago, almost, or what? Yeah, the Bible, like around after, like 60 years, 30 to 60.
3,000 years ago.
Yes, 30 years after Jesus Christ. 500.
Five hundred, actually.
500.
It's a span of thousands, like it's a span
Yeah.
of 2,000 years.
The New Testament was written.
Yeah, just
years after
50
Christ.
years after Christ.
Roughly.
40 years, 40 years after Christ.
So almost 2,000 years ago? Okay. This is post-scientific or pre-scientific age?
That's pretty simple.
Pre-scientific age, no physics, no biology, nothing. So you can't judge or criticize the Bible based on something, this was not the purpose behind it. Okay? Don't tell me, why the Bible didn't talk about Facebook addiction. Facebook what? Like, let's say Jesus was talking about, guys, don't overindulge in eating, don't overindulge in collecting money, just to give to the poor. Okay, this is a message. What if he is give a talk and they don't get addicted to social media? Just to make sure he tells us in future. Will people appreciate that, or people will understand what he's talking about? So these things was written pre-technology, pre-science, pre-biology, anyway, evidence on evolution. We didn't see it happen. We can tell 99% that this has happened. The same as investigation for crime scene. Like when police investigate for a crime, they can tell you, okay, Diana killed David, okay, and I am sure this happened almost one. I didn't see her doing this. Thank you.
One for the whole team.
So, yeah, Diana killed David. We didn't see it happen, but from the footprint, from witnesses, from blood stains, from different things, I can tell the judge can judge Diana and put her in prison for the rest of her life. Even the judge didn't see her doing it. Nobody saw her doing it, but we have some evidence that we can tell almost 100% we are sure that this happened. And this is what we have in evolution, okay?
Like, even though if he ever dies, you put seeds.
He put seeds already?
Don't die.
David, everyone likes you
Die,
here.
die of old age or get hit by something. And hit by something. Don't die mysteriously. Don't die mysteriously,
Anyway, guys, what's that?
Group therapy ده المطلوب.
Yeah, ده عايزين group therapy around David. Okay, so you're telling me, so evolution is like a investigation for a crime scene. You have lots of evidence, you can tell. Yeah, in evolution, the same thing. Lots of evidence. The anatomy, I'm not going to go into details about this, but if you want to read, anatomy is an evidence. Molecular biology and the DNA is an evidence. The fossils, you know fossils, is the remains of organism in rocks, right? Is an evidence. Direct observation, we can see microevolution, not macroevolution. It's very rare. It takes billions and millions of years for, to have a new species of something. But you can see microevolution that is happening with viruses and bacteria and this stuff. Also, evolutionary psychology is another evidence. So connecting these evidence, we can say 99% that evolution happened. Anyway, to finalize my talk, I will go to the common ground. What's your name again? George. George was talking at the beginning about, no, there is connecting dots. I will connect some dots. Even I don't like this way of explaining a spiritual text, to try to connect it with science to make it sound like this group is against me. We agree, this group is with me. Okay? So some group in the middle will say, no, we can connect the dots. Okay? However, sometimes this group will miss my point. This group will miss my point. Sometimes the people who try to connect the dot will miss a point. I'm here giving you the Bible to teach unconditional love, to teach acceptance, to teach kindness, to teach compassion. This is the messages that I'm giving. You don't have to include science and the physics and anatomy and the crime scene and all these stuff. But anyway, at this age, with all this scientific advancement, don't try to interpret the Bible literally. Because there's if you do that literally, there is two possibilities. You don't have any education, and that's fine. There are people in different countries, there is zero education. That's fine. You can interpret the Bible literally, that's fine. But if you have education and you interpret the Bible literally, this means you are mentally ill. Okay? This means you need help. Why? Because you will see lots of contradiction between the literal interpretation of the Bible and the scientific evidence. There will be lots of contradiction. if you continue interpreting the Bible literally, this contradiction and this question, you're gonna suppress them. You're gonna act like they don't exist. Because if they bring this question to the surface, it creates confusion. It creates guilt. Should I follow the Bible? No. Okay, I'm follow the science. No, I feel guilty too. So what should I do? This creates confusion, guilt, and anxiety. So what we do, lots of people will repress this feeling. And we know in psychology, if you have negative feeling or if you have confusing questions and you suppress them, this causes mental illness. It's like, a wife who loves her husband, but she knows he's cheating on her. A wife loves her husband, she knows that he's cheating on her, but she doesn't want to confront him. And she doesn't want to create a crack in the family unit. So what she does, she represses the feeling. She suppresses the question. 10 years later, she will have cancer, breast cancer. She will have diabetes. She will have an anxiety. She will have depression. Why? Because when you repress feeling and the questions, confusing question, we know that repression and suppression is a negative defense mechanism. It's a pathological defense mechanism. A psychological defense mechanism, but it is pathological. We know later on you will struggle psychologically or physically. So if you have education, and I'm sure all of you have education, okay, you need to dig to know the truth, because the truth will set you free. Okay? To end our talk, I'm gonna go into, skip this one. Anyway, there is lots of evidence behind the evolution. I'm not gonna go through them. Oh, guys, do you know that there was no dogs 20 years ago? Do you know that?
20 years ago?
20,000 years ago also. There was no dogs, puppies, 20,000 years ago. Oh, really? Do you know that? That we are the one who created dogs? How? We choose foxes that are less aggressive and we let them breed. Okay? And then they breed, they bring less aggressive foxes. Let them breed again. And then after 20 years, they become more, pleasurable, and they understand the human behavior, and they good to be around us. They are not aggressive. You can tame them. And so, but 20,000 years ago, there was no dogs. This is just an example telling you that you can have new species, okay, out of nowhere. And we are the one who did it, okay? How about millions of years of a changing environment? This can create new species. But anyway, let's go to the common thing because people like it. Common ground.
Did you know that we didn't domesticate strawberries until the 1500s?
I didn't know this one.
Like 15 or 1600s, like very recent.
Wow.
Strawberries and something else, tomatoes or something.
Yeah. So common ground. One way of looking at this, if you want to connect the dots between science and religion, guided evolution. Lots of religious people, they say, okay, evolution happened and the nature is the one who is controlling, but this is under supervision of God. Okay, easy? So we call it guided evolution, guidance from God. This is one way of looking at it. This theory, lots of people agree with it. Buddhism, most accepting of evolution, and the Hindu, most accepting. Orthodox, you'll find 50-50. Jehovah's Witness disagree completely with evolution. But anyway, so one way of looking at evolution, even when you give Sunday school to younger generations, they ask questions. To give them analogy like, I love my wife with all my heart, sometimes it's not they can't understand this analogy and they connect this, how is this related to what is happening. You can tell them, okay, it was guided by God. This is a simple, clear answer. Until they grow and they have more critical abilities, they can use it. Another common ground. This is the story of creation, right? there was a snake, right? Yeah. There was fruits, right? Perfect. There is a woman who made sin first, and then there is a man who blamed her, right? Okay.
He followed and blamed.
What's that?
He followed first and then
Followed, then he blamed her. Yeah. I don't know, the bird that wasn't in the story, I don't know what is that, but anyway, there is a snake.
Later in the party.
Yeah. There was a snake, there was fruits, there was a woman, there was pain with delivery, right? With giving birth. There is a guy who had to work, right? There is a snake who was punished at the end. Do you know that evolution theory have all of this? How come? How come? Let's talk about the snake. Snake. There is something called the snake detection theory. You can read about it after I finish. You'll find that there is a theory called the snake detection theory. They believe snakes had a major role in human evolution. Does anyone know about that? No? Okay, so 70,000 years ago, snakes and human beings, they live in trees. Okay? Snakes put a huge threat on human being because they were able to kill human being. So the snakes put a pressure on human being to evolve more to be able to see them and detect them, because this is a major. They want to live in big tree like us, okay, and I want to live in the big tree, but they're trying to kill me. So I have to be smarter to detect them. How I'm going to be smarter? I have to see them. So they say over thousands of years, the snakes put a pressure on human being to evolve more brain size and more visual area, the area in the brain, and this stimulates the brain growth. So does the snake have a role, a major role? So when I evolve, what does this happen? This means I know better. Then when I know better, what does this mean? I know what is good and what is bad. And then when I know what is good and bad, I can do bad stuff, because now I know. I was like 1 million years ago, as I was like animal. I don't know the past. I don't know the future. I just exist. But now I'm smarter. I know. I learn. I store knowledge. I can use this knowledge to help you or to kill you. Okay. Who did this? A major part was the snake. Do you see the common ground now? The snake has a rule to make us able to differentiate between good and evil. Okay, good point. The fruit, the color vision. They say we develop color vision. You know, we see stuff with colors, right? You see, the eyes was developed and the brain was developed to see colors because of the fruits. We wanted to differentiate between good fruit and the bad fruit. How are we going to differentiate? By the color. So the fruits also has a role to help us grow a bigger brain and a smarter brain to differentiate between what is a ripe fruit and what is good and what is bad. So the snake put a pressure on us to be more smarter. The fruits did the same thing. How about women? This is a major and well-accepted theory for evolution, that women push evolution further. Like men, we are smarter because of women. How come? This is by... Yeah, you see in the story... Yeah, the story of... You see in the story of evolution, women did something wrong, okay? In evolution, we don't see it wrong. We see she put a pressure on us to evolve. How come? They say it is a sexual... when you read about evolution, you will know there is something called the sexual selection. There is something called natural selection. Does anyone know about this stuff? What sexual selection mean?
You're looking for the best partner for you, and so that's like you're not gonna pick the very, very ugly mate, and so you'll get the more attractive mate, and then that ugly mate won't be able to reproduce, and then they kind of go extinct. Those genes die.
Yes. So you try you find the better mate. You avoid the bad ones. You like the good ones. The bad one will go extinct. This one will survive and able to transmit their genes to next generation. Anyway, they say in evolution, what happened? Women was giving birth. Then anyway, they notice that the kids and the babies are coming from them. Okay. Then they develop some love and a connection with these. It's not like other animals, reptiles. Reptiles don't care. Put kids, run. Okay? You survive by yourself.
Snakes still have the motherly instinct and they sit on their eggs for like months. And they'll protect it. Like if you go near a snake on its eggs, it will kill you.
How about other reptiles? Not all of them.
The spiders eat their own kids, Oscar.
Spiders eat كل حاجة.
And anyway, in mammals, when we look at mammals, the highly evolved ones, they have a strong connection with their kids and with their mates and stuff. When you go higher, you see love is a common sign for evolution. You love people around you. But anyway, so women notice that, okay, these kids are coming from me. It sounds like I have to take care of them. So she started to take care of them. There was emotional connection between. But she noticed during pregnancy and the first year or 2 years after delivery, she's going to be busy. She can't go hunting. She can't survive. She needs someone. And this one needs to be smart enough. And I can't be with all men. I have to choose one. Okay? And this one has to stay with me and support me. Not because I love him or anything, because these kids, I need food, and these kids need food too. Anyway, women started to be, they say, chimpanzees are not monogamous, are polygamous. Human women started to be monogamous first. That's why you see monogamy is common in women and less common in men. But anyway, women become monogamous first because they realized that I can support only 2 kids, maximum, or 3 kids. I need someone who is committed to stay with us. Okay? So she put pressure on men to become. So first, she becomes smart. Why? Because when you take care of someone else, you become smarter. You know that? When you have more, if I want you to be smarter, I give you more responsibility. Then you become smarter. Give you more responsibility, you become smarter. So women already started to evolve faster than men, okay? Because she's taking care of herself and taking care of others. So she becomes smarter. And put this over millions of years, this will teach her lots of skills and become smarter. Anyway, she noticed, okay, I am with these kids and I am smart now. I have to choose a smart guy who is resourceful, who is strong, who have 6 packs, okay? Who can provide for me. Who can provide for me and provide for my kids, okay? And he need to be socially also acceptable, because to survive, they realized later in life, to survive, I can't survive by myself against the lions and the other animals. We have to be in a group. So I have to be socially smart, physically strong. So women started to put pressure, like you said, on men who gonna be smart. So I cannot choose the smarter one, the stronger one. Anyway, so you see, women, we can blame women now because she put a pressure on us to become smart. Okay, what happened when we become smart? Oh, when you become smart, you see the good and the evil. And then you see that in future, there might be some shortage in food in future. If there is shortage in food of future, what should I do now? And I have to work for it. So I don't have to just to hunt for now. I want to hunt for tomorrow, because now I realize there is tomorrow. It's not just today. There is past, there is future, there is present. Kids who have disabilities or stuff, they don't know about, if they don't have a cognitive effect, like a good cognitive functions, they don't know the past, the future, the present. Not only present. Once you have strong pre-cortex area, you will know past, future. And when I know there is a future, what I have to do? Because there might be some shortage in the future. I have to work. Who put me to work now? And so now I have to work to provide for the kids, to provide for the woman, and to show the woman that I'm strong and good enough so she can choose me And we call this in evolution sexual selection. It's the most accepted theory. So you see, the snakes has a role. The fruits has a role. Women put a pressure on us. Women had to suffer because when we evolve and our brain get bigger, the delivery become more difficult. You know why we suffer? Why women suffer with giving birth? Because we have a bigger skull now. So she had to suffer because her choices, okay, to choose men and to put a pressure on him to work. So you see the cycle? Okay, oh wow, now it makes sense. It sounds like, you created the evolutionary theory is all based on Bible. Okay, this is one way. Some major, like some big name in psychology agree with this common ground. Some of them disagree. But anyway, if this is one way to look at the evolution by sexual selection and color and snake detection and all of these. Another part that I like, okay, evolution proves that everything works for the best for those who what? Love God. So everything, you remember the life cycle at the beginning? It's very depressing, very disappointing. You are born, then you scream, then you continue to scream. Okay?
And then you die screaming.
Then you die screaming. You see?
That's when you stop screaming.
So, so all things works for the best. Where is the best? Like you guys started screaming, end screaming. Where is the best? No. What's that?
Like scream louder?
Maybe. No. If you look, this is the way I look at it. Okay, this is my interpretation of it. If you look at the evolutionary process, yeah, things work for the best. Not the individual best, but for the group, yeah, works for the best. Oh, we own the planet now. We created kingdom and empires. We evolve and we evolve. We don't evolve physically. We don't fly or anything, but we evolve psychologically. Oh, do you have evidence for that? Yeah, every 20 years we change the IQ test. Do you know that? Because people are becoming smarter. So we can't use an IQ test 50 years ago to assist now. It's going to give lower numbers. So I need a higher because we evolve. Yeah.
I think just for that point, I think one of the most interesting things to look at is gymnastic tryouts from like many, many years, like in the early, like mid to late 90s, like a long time ago, and what they look like now. Like back then, if you could just hop on the thing, it's like, wow, standing innovation. Now that's like not even that's part of your like stretching.
Yeah. So you see there is a physical changes as well. With knowledge and the training, we can be better. Also overall, if you look, are things work for the best? Yeah. Give me an evidence for that. Not the short life cycle, individual life cycle. No, it is the overall picture. It's good.
Yeah, we're on an exponential curve of knowledge anyways. So.
Yeah, the last 50 years are crazy. Like the last 50 years, oh wow! I don't know the how AI and the intelligence and how the information and processing of information and it's very soon you're gonna download something in your brain and upload something and do stuff, and the problem, the question will not be about LGBT at all. At all, this will not be a question. The question will be, okay, how much of the machine will be inside me? So parent will not worry, my son is gay or not gay, or lesbian or not lesbian. No, how much machine is in him? And he's choosing to stop part of his brain and put another thing and download a program. This is what happened, and this is going to happen very soon. I don't know what the church position will be at this time.
But isn't this is going to contribute in the devolution or whatever, the opposite of evolution? Like you have mentioned that we have evoluted because we had stressors. But now since the stress is getting less, that means we're getting less smarter. And the machines are actually evolving more.
Big pressure on the machine.
Well, but I think nobody can expect and predict how it's going to look like in 100 years or 200 years from now. Are we going to be on Earth or somewhere else? Nobody can tell. Anyway, guys, Last thing, evolution is only a theory. This is our most conception about evolution is just a theory. No. Evolution is a fact. But if you talk in science, yeah, it is a theory. But don't say, it's just a theory. It tells me that you don't know what science is talking about. Okay, guys? There is no evidence for it. No, there is lots of evidence. I can spend a few hours explaining the evidence. Scientists doubt the truth of evolution. No, they don't doubt it. Don't worry about it. They doubt the mechanism of evolution. How Homo sapiens or Homo habilis or Homo erectus, how they become Homo sapien. Yeah, different views. Maybe the snake, maybe the fruits, maybe the woman put pressure. There is different hypotheses, but did it happen? Yes, it happened. What else?
Yeah, it's a lot. Like, it has something to do with how they moved around too, and where they interbred, and
yeah, biogeography. Yeah, this is one. Yeah, the distribution of organisms. It's not just a fossil. The distribution of them can tell us, and it's fascinating. Anyway, if humans descend from monkeys, why there is no why monkeys still exist? Okay. It is a common ancestors. Some of them, because of environmental change, become human. Some of them, they become monkeys. Why some become monkeys? Some become human beings? Because the environmental changes that happen to a group of animal brings them to escalate more in the evolutionary process. Someone stay at the same level. Anyway, guys, I know. How long have I been talking?
1 hour.
1 hour. Okay. Yeah.
She was ready to give you that answer.
Yeah. Any questions? Do I answer all questions that you have in mind about this? Yes or no? Any further questions?
List of questions, actually.
Yeah.
What's that?
To be discussed later on.
Later on?
Another 1 hour session on the questions.
Or two. But he loves his wife, and we know that. So we're going to talk to the wife later on. And she's the one who's going to put pressure.
Okay, yeah. So thank you guys for the invitation, and I hope this gives you clarification. Thank you.